Hello, I'm Tanya Mercer, Decatur Township District Reading Specialist, here to teach your Sonday Level 34, Day 1 lesson for today. In the following slides, you're going to have your child or student read each sound aloud. Make sure that you ask for both sounds, the short and the long, for the vowels. Also, any additional sounds that you have learned for the letter, you should also produce. As always, if the student makes an error, you would just say, let's trace. That's the error correction procedure. And then you would say, this is the letter N, which says N, as in needle. You would show the keyword slide and have them trace 3 times while looking at the letter so that they're seeing, saying, N, and tracing all at the same time. Okay? If you need more time on any of the slides, pause the video. There are 2 sounds when you see an OW. This is the most common. This is the next most common. Two sounds for these letters together. The short and the long sound. Short and the long sound. The short and the long sound. 2 sounds for C. We just recently learned these if you watch some of our previous videos. If not, the rules there. Let me kind of move up for the keyword so that you can see that there. So please produce both sounds that C can make. The short and the long sound. Here's the rule for G. You should produce 2 sounds for G now. You've been taught the 2 sounds, and you need to say both of them. The short and the long sound. Okay, now we're to the spell sound section, and this is getting to be a shorter amount because we're having more questions. So the initial words that are sounds that I give you are going to be less, but the questions about sounds are going to be more. So the first sound I'm going to give you is ow. Ow. Repeat and then write. And then aw. Aw. Okay, now below that, in the section down here, I'm going to ask you just a couple of questions, and I want you to write your answers in the spell sound section. So how do you write long O at the end of a word? Think of a word where you hear O at the end. What way will you spell it? What letters will you use? Write that now. Then, how do you write long O in the middle of a word? Hint, there's two ways. Okay. Normally, I wouldn't review these. I would just look at the student notebooks in class, but just for video's sake, I'm going to give you the answer. So you should have had, for my question, owl for owl, AW for aw. Okay, and then for the answers below, long O at the end of the word would be OW as well, like snow, flow. And then long O in the middle of the word can be written two ways. I'm going to go down here to this bottom. It can be OA or O consonant E, the magic E. Okay? If you made an error, cross it out and write it correctly now. Okay, and now we're going to go to the, one second, read words section. Now you can read both columns, or if you're short on time, you can do one column, but obviously the more you read, the better. I prefer two columns. So take a minute and pause the video and read these two columns out loud. You will notice that it is practicing some of the skills we learned in the previous lessons. Okay, we'll review touch spelling really quickly, but I think you guys should have it down by now. You're right-handed, you write with your right hand, and then you touch spell starting with your pinky. Mat. Left-handed, you'll write with, this is so you can do it and write at the same time. Mat. And I like this method better than doing it in the air because that draws attention and might distract other people, where this can be very, discreet. All right, so in this section here is where you are going to write the words that I dictate. So I will say a word, you will repeat the word, and then you're going to write the word. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm going to say the word, you're going to repeat the word, you're going to touch spell the word, and then you're going to write the word. Got a little distracted there. All right, so first word, life. Repeat, touch spell, then write. Life. Life. Okay? We don't tap for this last letter because we know the ways that we can make a long I in the middle of a word. Okay, so that is the routine. Second word, you're going to have to pause after each spelling word to give yourself enough time to repeat, touch spell, and write. It is critical that you do the touch spelling. It will help you in many ways that you don't realize right now. Flaw. Repeat, touch spell, write. Coop, like a chicken coop. Snow. Race. There's a sight word. Could. Dance. Crutch. Grove. Page. Toad. judge, and coin. Look over all your words. Do they look like they're spelled correctly? If you notice any errors or you can't read your writing, please make your corrections now. Okay, so these are the words. Please check your words and are they written the same? If they're not, cross them out and write them correctly now. If you notice, over here is a list of all the skills that we have learned, and we are practicing spelling those words and using our skills, all the skills we've learned. When you're finished, take a moment and read all the words that you have written out loud. Okay, now work to the spell words and sentences section. Down here, phrases and sentences, I should say. I'm going to give you a sentence. You will repeat the sentence. You will tap out the sentence, and then you're going to write the sentence. You will need to pause the video to give yourself enough time to do this. So, I'll model the first one. The sentences are getting much longer because you're getting more skills. So, and this kind of fits with the reading I picked, and I didn't even realize that till just now. Here's the first sentence. The prince should ask her to dance twice. So you're going to repeat, the prince should ask her to dance twice. Then you're going to tap, and I'm going to pretend I'm a lefty. Remember, lefties start with their thumbs, righties start with their pinkies. The prince should ask her to dance twice. So there's 8 words in that sentence. Okay. Pause the video to repeat, tap, and write. Okay, then the next one is go to the place where the boat is floating. I'm going to model with the right hand this time. First you would just repeat it. Go to the place where the boat is floating. Go to the place where the boat is floating. That's 9. Let me double check. Go to the place where the boat is floating. 9. Sometimes you get your fingers moving a little too quick, so you might have to do it twice, just like I did. Pause the video, repeat, tap, write. Okay, take a minute to look at your sentences. Oops, I went ahead, I got too fast. Take a moment to look at your sentences and check for C, capitalization. So beginning of both your sentences, are both your sentences capitalized? Are there any other words that need to be capitalized in your sentences? A, accuracy. Do both sentences have the correct number of words, the correct spacing in between letters and words? P, punctuation. Do you have the correct ending marks for the sentence? Is it a question? Is it a statement? Is it an exclamation? And of course, S for spelling. Check all those things. And now we're going to see if we're correct. If you made an error, cross it out, don't erase, and write the correct word or mark or capital letter above where it needs to be. Take a minute to make those corrections. And then I want you to read out loud those 2 sentences. Pause the video to give yourself enough time. All right, now we're on to our new sound. So today we are learning a new sound, and with that we're going to learn a new keyword. So today we have EA, and EA, if you notice there's a rule up there. EA sounds like long E, and there is no sound difference or rule to distinguish it from EE. So sometimes you'll spell meet, M-E-E-T, and another time you'll spell meet the same word and it sounds the same, M-E-A-T. So you'll kind of have to use, a lot of times they sound exactly the same. So it might be context clues or things like that that let you know that you're going to use a different spelling. But there is no rule about a letter afterwards or anything like that. that can tell us definitively when to use EE and when to use EA. So you just kind of have to try both and see which looks the best, and use your prior knowledge of what words have looked like in your reading. So what I want you to do right now, I want you to take your two fingers and I want you to trace. Okay. I want you to trace EA and say E. Okay. E 3 times, just like we always do. E. E. And the key word for that is team. Okay. Team. That is a sports team. Looks like wrestlers. Okay, now I want you to take a moment and write EA, E in the Introduce New Material section on the small lines in number 5. Okay, now you're going to take a minute. We're going to practice reading words that use EA to represent the E sound. So pause the video and read all 3 columns. Okay, now we're on to spell words. So we're going to practice spelling words that have EA for the E sound. Okay, so what 2 letters are you going to use in these spellings when you hear the E sound? EA, not EE, because we're just practicing EA words right now. First word, and remember to repeat, touch, spell, and write. Cream. Repeat, cream. We only hear 3 sounds. There are more than 3 letters, but write the letters that represent those sounds. Read. Repeat, read. Read. Okay? Repeat, touch, spell, write. Next word, and you probably are going to need to pause the video to give yourself enough time to write. Eat. Repeat, touch, spell, write. Seat. Reach. Team. Take a moment, look at your words. Do you think you spelled them correctly? Okay, if you don't, make your corrections now. Now let's look at these words. Okay, I think we're good. Is this what you have written on your paper? If you made an error, cross it out, don't erase, and write it correctly. When you're finished, please take a moment to read these words out loud. Okay, now we are on the read aloud section. So we are practicing the soft sound for C. Remember, sometimes C says K and sometimes it says S. And in this reading, it's mixed up a little bit in a few spots. Most of the time, when it's followed by an E or an I, it says this sound. But you notice down here, we have this word right here, and it is not followed by an E. So it says the hard sound, and it is K, clothes, clothes. Okay, pause the video and read all of these vocabulary words out loud. No silent reading. Okay, now pause the video to read these 2 pages. Don't forget to read the words in the illustrations. And then this is the last page in our reading. It's a shorter reading today. Don't forget to read words in the illustrations. That is the end of our Sunday lesson for today. Thank you and have a great day.